Hey everyone, how's it going? So, I was going to go ahead and wait until the morning drive to talk about this, but frankly speaking, the morning drive is about 10 or so minutes, give or take, depending on traffic, and I wasn't really sure if that would be enough time to talk about this, and I felt like it just needed possibly a little bit more depth. So, it's going to be in the middle of my garage, in my Jeep, not driving with Daz. Hope that's okay. Anyway, we're going to talk about Playmaji's Polymega and the announcement today that was sent over email late in the evening. And whatever they talked about on social media on like X, for example. We'll go over that. So long story short, today get an email from Playmaji and basically announces two new consoles. The Polymega Remix, which is literally the same shell as a normal Polymega, except there's essentially no meaningful hardware in it. So there's no processor or APU or anything like that. It's not thinking. It's basically a glorified USB hub with an internal disk drive and the ability to read cartridges through the modules that go in the same exact module slot system as a normal Polymega. Anyway, so this device plugs into a variety of systems. It can be your Windows based PC, it can be a handheld like an Xbox Ally X, or presumably based on the images, a Valve Steam Deck, a Intel based Macintosh. So if you have a 6-year-old laptop laying around, there you go. And presumably in the future, iOS and Android devices. But let me tell you something, man. Anything that is promised for the future when it comes to Playmaji, you can basically just take that and put it in a trash can because it's probably never going to happen. This device will be available for pre-order tomorrow for 199 USD. So if you're one of my friends across the pond, convert that however you will. I'm assuming that'll be what, like 150 pounds? I'm guessing. I know that your money's like worth more or whatever. Anyway, take that for what you will. Now, this all sounds well and good to some people, and the typical people who will slob knobs are happy, and good for them. All I can say is this without sounding too rude. These are the same type of people who look at a Switch 2 and kiss Nintendo's feet, even though that system's pretty miserable in its current state right now. Or kiss the feet of Sony with the PS5 and their endless slew of canceled, terrible, or just delayed until Neverland live service games instead of the stuff that we actually want. Um, Bastardizing franchises that we love, like Twisted Metal, to make said live service games that they inevitably just cancel anyway, or people who slob the knob for Xbox. I'm trying to think of anything of note other than the Ally X that they've done recently, and I can't. I guess there's that ugly ass Fable game, so yay. Anyway, if you're excited by all this, you're either the type of person who, like I said, slobs a knob of any corporation that makes anything gaming, or you have not been on this ride since day one. This has been outside of Paprium. This has been the most fucked up adventure that I've been on in the gaming world. You are talking about 8 years. Technically 9, but that was when it was called a different console. 8 years known as the Polymega, in which we have been on this roller coaster with Playmaji. 8 years is a long time to fulfill basic promises that still have yet to be kept. We were supposed to get online play, never came. We were supposed to get an online store, never came. Still to this day, the only reason why the Wi-Fi is even something that you should even turn on for your console is simply because the N64 emulator doesn't even work without the ability to go ahead and pull shaders from the internet, which is a whole nother problem. We also still have yet to get proper N64 emulation. Still to this day, what few N64 cartridges that I actually own still do not work. These are my favorite games. They do not work properly. They are in slow motion or just buggy as all hell. And yes, this is with an upgraded processor, an i5 multi-core processor of the generation, I can't remember which, that it can actually use. And this is while pulling shaders from the internet. This includes games like the Japanese Rumble Pack version of Wave Race, Super Robot Spirits, among others. Anyway, this company I have been updating via email as to all these problems, and they will do the typical, thank you for, letting us know about this bug. We are working very diligently to go ahead and resolve the matter, and we will do this as soon as possible. In the email, in addition to this remix, which we'll get into in a little bit more depth here in a second, the second system that they announced is an upgraded core unit, the Polymega itself, that actually can process the emulation within the console. This includes a multi-core instead of a single-core processor and more RAM. And they specifically state that this will help fix Nintendo 64 emulation. Which, in case you can't read through the lines, this is Chinese for if you have an original unit and you've been with us since either day one or any time from then to now, go fuck yourself. Because I severely doubt, in fact, I can all but guarantee, they won't go ahead and if the lights go off, I'm sorry, because this is all motion freaking based. Whatever, it ain't gonna work. What was I saying? They are all not going to go ahead and ever touch the original hardware ever again. Why would they? They're going to focus on the new hardware. They said that the current pre-orders, and there go the lights. Seriously? Nothing? Hold on. Apparently, even the Jeep lights have turned off. What a world. Oh my god. This is what we get. This is the reason why I didn't just drive to work and try to record this in 0.25 seconds. Anyway. Well, we might be doing this in the dark. Anyway. Bear with me. I don't think I even have a light here. Or maybe I do. I've never had to use it before. There's a light. Everybody happy? Anyway. They're never going to go ahead and support the original hardware ever again. You watch. This is it. If you own an original console, this is it. And basically, if you have a current pre-order, they will go ahead and upgrade your system. Now you're probably thinking, oh, well, whatever. I'll just go ahead and pre-order one right now. And then I can get the new console. And I'll sell my old one, and it is what it is. Well, they're sold out, my dear. So that isn't going to happen. And I guarantee you, when they are up for pre-order, whenever that is, because only the remix, the gutless one, goes on for pre-order tomorrow. I guarantee you that whenever that new version of the Polymega comes out, it's going to go ahead and cost more money than $550. Now, I know, and I'm going to be careful here. I have insider information, and I'm going to utilize that inside information to make some educated guesses. There is something about the system, the current system, that made it so that Playmaji was stuck only being able to purchase through that exact facility in that exact country. I'm trying to be as vague as possible. Forgive me, okay? I just don't want to get anyone in trouble. And I'm not going to say what the issue is because that'll give it away. But suffice it to say, it is a process. This process, I believe, and this is where I start getting into guessing territory. I think this was the reason why production was so difficult, combined with a minimum order requirement, an MOQ, that was too high for Playmaji to be able to afford. Playmaji has been consistently adverse to taking out debt to make new consoles. And I think the MOQ was too high. Now, here's the problem. They could not go ahead and produce consoles anywhere else because they were tied to this contract. So, while changing the processor and the RAM and potentially this process, I believe that that was enough for them to go ahead and be able to deem it a different product, especially with the Remix being genuinely a different product. Maybe the shell looks the same, but internally, like I said, it doesn't actually handle any emulation itself. The guts of your PC or handheld computer or whatever is what's doing the emulation. So I think this was their ability to go ahead and change facilities. And thus afford to go ahead and place orders, which is all of a sudden why these things will be, these remixes will be shipping in May next month, and why the revisioned version 2 console, whatever you want to call it, is already in production. That's my guess. I think all of this is just to get out of that contract. Maybe I'm wrong, but based on what I know, it's a pretty educated guess. Now, what's interesting about this is I don't think they're going to produce that many units. These are two guys who worked not directly, but kind of for Sony. You have one, Insomnia, and the other for Naughty Dog. That's Sony. Sony does a little trick that a lot of people think is FOMO, fear of missing out, where they go ahead and release their new console in limited quantities. In reality, there's a larger reason why companies like Sony or even Nintendo, frankly, do this. And it's not FOMO. It's just in case that there's a problem. They don't potentially have to go ahead and replace 10 million units. There's only a limited amount of supply out there that could go potentially tits up. And so I think what they're going to do is release a very small quantity. I'm not going to state a figure, but I know it. The original Polymega did not sell as well as people think. In fact, the number that if I could say it, the number is ridiculously low. Ridiculously low. Ridiculously low. And I think they're scared to produce too many of these remixes. Number one, because they don't know if people are going to buy it. And number two, because they don't know if people want to have essentially a husk system that plugs into a computer. Now, my Polymega is next to my computer. I'm probably an ideal target for such a device, even though I'm not happy at all with this company right now, so probably not going to be a customer of them. But ideally, my setup should work. I can plug in this console to my PC, use my PC's significantly advanced hardware to run the emulators, and just go about that way. Most people, though, are not me. And what I mean by that is, picture your standard layout for a classic gamer. They're going to have a man cave, a CRT TV, or an HD TV somewhere nearby. There's not going to be computers nearby. It's going to be old consoles, bookshelves of video games. Something like a Remix really doesn't make a lot of sense unless they have a computer right next to it in which to power this device. So I'm not entirely sure, number one, from that perspective, they're going to sell a lot. Number two, they've pissed off a lot of people, and it's not just me. I don't think that they have goodwill in this community at all. Not even a little bit, to be able to justify making a system like this, especially one that doesn't do anything else. Now, this is all going to be operated, both the new system and, well, I guess everything technically, and the Remix, by their new app, which, here we go again. There we go. Which back in the day, years ago, what was it, back in 2023, I believe, they said would have like online play and, an online store and all this other crap. So this email mentions nothing of that. This is the only console that I can think of. Even Atari let people look at the VCS across the street at the hotel across the street from E3 and test this thing before it went out for pre-order. This is the only console I can think of in recent memory in which no one will be able to touch this. No one will even know what the fuck it actually does. No one will know if the app works well, if it's buggy, if it's not buggy, if the emulation works well, if we're going to have online, if we're not going to have online. All we know is that this thing is going to go ahead and be powered from more powerful hardware, and it's going to go ahead and be $199, and it's going to go ahead and go on pre-order tomorrow. That's it. That's all we know. Now, I know it's only $199. That seems like a banging deal for some people, but number one, you have to remember, you have to buy your controllers and the modules if you haven't already. If you have already, keep in mind your current Polymega will also be able to plug into a PC as well and do the same thing. So if you already have a Polymega, there's no point in ordering a Remix at all. They didn't really go into depth on that, but that's how it works. I'm sure they make this as confusing and as vague as humanly possible so that people go ahead and order shit that they don't need, because then it just equals more sales. There's people on social media freaking out because they're like, oh, maybe we'll get Dreamcast and PS2. We're not even sure if we're going to be able to back up saves. That's something that was promised 3 years ago and wasn't mentioned at all in this email. Hell, the last time we tried to go ahead and get an update that dealt with backing up saves, it ended up erasing saves on people's cartridges. So, again, I would not believe these people as far as you can spit. Do not get suckered into this. And there's a lot of things that just don't feel right. The lack of information a day in advance of a pre-order. The fact that the hardware is changing. The fact that there's going to be suddenly more units for no reason, but then anyone who's been with them for 8 years is suddenly screwed over on updates. I guarantee you that lower spec system will never be able to go ahead and play N64 properly. But then it's other things too. Like, my buddy was on their website and he noticed that the version 2 controller has colored buttons. Now, if you watched my last Polymega video, you would know that I ripped that wireless controller apart. You have a dongle that goes on the front of the system that looks terrible. there's no internal Bluetooth that it actually utilizes, even though there is technically internal Bluetooth apparently, but it doesn't utilize it for the stick because basically it went for the cheapest controller possible, which came with a stick instead of using proper Bluetooth connection. And the thing feels like it's made from melted down milk crates. It doesn't aesthetically match any of the other controllers. It doesn't have colorful buttons, all that. And yet, it's almost like they know that the controller looks like cheap as balls because on their online images, the controller has colored buttons. And yet, it's not a new revision because if you go ahead and buy, this is part of the email, if you go ahead and buy a Remix system, you get 30% off a wireless controller. And the controller is the same model number as the old one, which is just black and bland and crap feeling. So everything about this feels purposely misleading, uninformative, and vague as humanly possible. I will bet this app will not be perfect. It will not do what they promised back in 2023, which is why they didn't mention those feature sets in this current email. They will promise the moon for updates, and you will wait. You will be, if you pre-order this thing, you will be one of the guinea pigs for them. You will be the beta tester. And they will use you to perfect this app. And then the next time it goes up for sale will be when they feel comfortable to go ahead and make more without any risk. And then God knows when the updated Polymega is coming out. Because just because if you have a current pre-order and they're going to move you automatically to the new version 2 of the Polymega doesn't mean that you're going to get that anytime soon. If you've ever pre-ordered anything from Playmaji, you damn well know that it could be well over a year or two before you get anything. So, good luck. If you have a pre-order now, I hope you get it sometime this year. I'm just fucking done. N64 is not hard to emulate. It's just not. The fact that I have gone through all this bullshit, I have waited patiently for updates, I have had to deal with this download shaders over Wi-Fi baloney, which is not in any manual, in any description you're just supposed to know, or be a part of their Discord and find out that way or some shit. It's the most unprofessional way to go ahead and just assume people will know to do things. Keep in mind, on a console in which there is no reason to be online. There's no online play. There's no online store. So if you're a logical person and you think, well, this plays old-ass games and there's no online functionality, why am I going to go ahead and put an Ethernet cord in the back of it? And why am I going to go ahead and connect it to the Wi-Fi? I just won't. You won't get proper N64 emulation. And even if you do connect to the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet, you still won't get proper emulation because tons of Japanese games specifically do not work up to speed. They're like slow motion. They're unplayable. So if you're like me, you'll have waited all this time. You'll have purchased an N64 module based on what it said on the tin that would play your N64 library. For it only to not, you will have gone ahead and emailed them which games don't work. And you will have promised that they are working on a solution for your games that don't work. All for them to just give up on you, put out their hand and ask for more money. I have no idea what this new system will cost. I'm not talking about the Remix. I'm talking about the V2. I have no idea what this new system will cost, but I guarantee you it's going to be well over $600 because the current one is $550, and there's no way. Because keep in mind, back in 2023, they went ahead and said the Remix was going to be $150. It's $200 now. Doing the lights again. It's $200 now. So that's what? A quarter more expensive. So God knows how expensive the main console will be now. The only people who are going to get it for $550 are the people who currently go ahead and have a pre-order open. Congratulations. Whenever you get it, let me know. Hope it's great. Oh, and by the way, the email said that it would help with N64 emulation, not do it perfectly. So we're not even guaranteed that the N64 emulation problems are going to go away. Yay! I'm fucking done. Think about this setup, okay? Their solution to me, to fix my problems, is to take my current Polymega, which has to plug into my monitor, and has to plug into the wall for power, to then also plug it into my computer via USB, so that I can go ahead and have the Polymega communicate with the PC so that my library can be transferred to my PC, or I can pay like $8 or $9 or whatever it is for their online service. I can't remember their service is like. It's going to allow you to do cloud saves of your library, basically, which is asinine because that means that every single time that you want to play a game on your device, you have to download said ROM or ISO, which if it's an ISO like a Saturn or PlayStation game, you're going to be sitting there for God knows how long, especially if you're on Wi-Fi out somewhere or your cell phone signal or whatever hell internet you have going on, downloading a 500 something meg image. So, oh, by the way, there's no USB port on the back of a Polymega. And there's no USB port likely on the back of this thing because in the pictures, they show it connected to a Steam Deck from the USB ports on the front. So you have a Remix / Polymega that is supposed to plug into your PC from the front. So imagine this, if you will. You have an HDMI cable going to your monitor from the Polymega. You have a power cable going from the Polymega or the Remix to the wall. You have a USB dongle plugged into one of your USB ports, but you only have two, to power the wireless dongle. And in your second USB cable, your only other USB slot, by the way, you have it plugged into your PC. Then you have to go ahead and have your PC also plugged into your monitor via HDMI or DisplayPort or whatever you use. And then use your Polymega app through said device while the Polymega is also on. I feel like this is just fucking emulation on the PC with extra steps. In fact, it's emulation on the PC with extra steps with none of the benefits. The only benefit that you get is the nice UI of Polymega. Whoop-de-doo. You're still, guarantee you, because they didn't mention it, which means it's not going to be a thing. Because if they were going to make this a thing, they would have mentioned as a selling point. You're not going to get higher resolutions on PlayStation or N64 or Sega Saturn. So you're going to be playing your emulated games through your powerful home computer at standard definition. Whoopee! If I'm gonna be on my fucking PC, I'll download Moopin and play N64 in frickin' 4K. Why would I do it this way? This makes no sense. The only reason why I got a Polymega is so I could sit down and play on the couch and play on a TV. The only reason why I'm even having my system where it is right now is simply because I don't have a TV right now, and so I'm using my monitor. But everyone else who has a normal setup is like, this doesn't make any sense. You're gonna bring in your computer into your man cave and put it next to your fucking Polymega, so now the Polymega can finally do N64? And how many people are going to look at that and go, that's fucking annoying, I don't like this, and are going to be then pressured to go ahead and spend hundreds of dollars to go get a version 2 Polymega that can do proper N64 emulation from the rip? A lot of people. And they know it, which is the reason why they're doing all this crap to begin with. I guarantee you they could go ahead and make a stock V1 Polymega Play N64 if they gave two shits or a fuck, and they don't. They don't. And here's the thing. If it can't do proper N64 emulation, don't sell a fucking module for $100-something. The system can't do Dreamcast. I don't see them making a Dreamcast module because no fucking duh. It's not powerful enough to do Dreamcast emulation. So why are you selling N64 emulation if the only version of a system that can do it properly is the sequel or the dummy console that's going to be plugged into a freaking tower? I'm so tired of this company. Oh, and by the way, another reason why I'm tired of this company is that 2023 announcement for this freaking remix was the last time we heard of this console. We have waited 3 years. Do you know what it said in the 2023 announcement? It said we'll be announcing more information in the upcoming weeks. Well, unless they meant 150 fucking whatever weeks over the last 3 years, I don't think it's been weeks. It's been years. So you have to start asking yourself, do you really trust them to go ahead and give you that pre-order that you currently have open of that V2 that they're magically gifting you that upgrade anytime soon? Do you really think that the features that they told you about in 2023 that they magically omitted in the email announcement today are going to be part of your Polymega remix that comes out for pre-order tomorrow? Probably not. These people lie to your face, and they also lie through omission. They've done it so many times, and I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of it, and I'm done. And frankly speaking, man, if I'm going to be fucking hooked up to my computer, I'm honestly, for $1,400 or whatever the hell you can flip these stupid things for, I might as well just fucking sell this console and emulate to the PC. It'd be one less thing on my computer, and the resolution would be better, and the emulation would be better. What is the point of this thing other than the fact that I can say technically I uploaded my own carts and CDs? I'm out. I'm not doing the lights no more. I'm out. Let me know what you think. Is this stupid or is it just me? Anybody else with the Polymega who feels like they got gypped? Who doesn't have proper N64 emulation and feels now the pressure to go ahead and buy a new system? Anybody? Am I the only one, or is everybody just slobbing a knob for this fucking company? Because I'm fucking tired of it. You know what? Go out of business. Go out of business with your freaking 4-figure sales for your consoles. Yeah, it's that bad. Good night.